Right. So today we're going to take a deep dive into the world of neuroscience coaching.
Okay.
Denny Van? A lot of people have
Right.
been really curious about how understanding their brains can actually help them reach their goals. And
Yeah.
Denny's book, The Neuroscience of Success, this was
Mm.
the perfect place to start. What do you think?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating how she takes all of these complex scientific ideas and
Yeah.
makes them practical. She really walks the walk. She's not just an author, but she's also a speaker,
Yeah.
and she leads these workshops and retreats.
Oh,
So,
right.
yeah, she's really applying this stuff.
So neuroscience coaching, what exactly is it?
Right.
Is it like having someone like peek inside your head
Mm.
and tell you what's wrong?
No, not quite, not quite.
Okay.
I think it's more like having a personal trainer for your brain. It draws from scientific research to create personalized plans. So it's like understanding how
Right.
your brain works so that you can work with it and not
That
against it.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So instead of like just trying to change like bad habits, you actually figure out like why those habits exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one of the biggest things or the most powerful concepts I think that she talks about is brain plasticity.
Hmm.
For years people thought our brains were fixed
Yeah.
after a certain age, but now we know that they can actually change and adapt
Oh, yeah.
throughout our lives. So,
So even if like I've always struggled with something like procrastination or something
yeah.
like I can actually rewire my brain to be better.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about neuroplasticity.
Wow. Okay.
It really is. And neuroscience coaching can help pinpoint
Okay.
the areas that you want to work on and then use specific techniques to
Okay.
to strengthen those neural pathways.
Okay, so this is where I need you to like break it down for me a little bit
Right.
because like the brain is a pretty complex organ.
Yeah.
Um, are there specific parts
Yeah.
that are like especially important when we talk about like improving memory
Yeah.
or managing stress or like all
But
those
think
like
of it like a team effort.
okay.
But there are definitely some MVPs in there.
Uh-huh.
So the
Mhm.
prefrontal cortex is kind of like the captain. He's responsible for planning, decision making,
Right.
all the executive functions.
Okay.
Then you've got the limbic system, which is all about emotions.
Mhm.
And let's not forget the nucleus accumbens, which is the reward center that keeps us motivated.
Okay, so if we like understand how those parts of the brain work,
Mm-hmm.
we can like actually train them to perform better.
Exactly,
Huh.
precisely. And that's where like the real magic of neuroscience
Okay.
coaching comes in. So let's take memory, for example.
Okay.
By understanding how the hippocampus, that's a key part of the limbic system,
Okay.
how it processes and stores information, a coach can actually teach you techniques like spaced repetition or visualization
Mhm.
to make memories stick.
So it's not just about like trying to remember things harder. It's actually about working with how our brains are naturally
Yeah.
wired
Yeah.
to like make those memories more like durable or something.
Motor durable. Exactly.
Okay. What about attention?
Yeah.
That's something I feel like a lot of people struggle with, especially today
Oh, absolutely.
with yeah,
Especially
just
today.
constant distractions and things.
Yeah, yeah. And again, neuroscience coaching can help you understand like the underlying mechanisms. For example, did you know that our brains have like a limited attention span?
Okay.
Much like, a muscle that gets fatigued.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to force yourself to focus for hours on end, a coach might teach you techniques like the Pomodoro technique, where you work in short bursts
Oh
with
yeah.
breaks in between to keep
Oh.
your attention sharp.
So it's about like working smarter, not harder, by like aligning our work habits with like how our brains actually function.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this applies to so many areas of life. Think about decision making.
Yeah.
Our brains are prone to biases that can like cloud our judgment.
Right.
But by becoming aware of these biases, we can learn to make like more rational
Right.
and informed choices.
Okay, so I'm starting to see like the bigger picture here. It's like
Yeah.
neuroscience coaching isn't just about self-improvement. It's about like understanding the operating system of our minds
Yeah.
so we can like use it to our advantage in all aspects
It's
of
the right
it.
way to put it.
So what are some of the like, I guess, benefits that people have experienced through this type of coaching?
Yeah, well, you've already mentioned a couple of key ones like improving memory
Right.
and sharpening attention, but the benefits go like way beyond that.
All right.
Neuroscience coaching can also help boost learning abilities, enhance decision-making skills, and even unlock creativity.
Unlock creativity. How does that work?
Well, there are certain techniques that can stimulate the
Wow.
brain's creative centers. For example, a coach might introduce you to brainstorming exercises
Hmm.
or mindfulness practices to help you tap into those innovative ideas
Okay.
that might be hiding just below the surface.
Okay, so we're talking about like a whole range of cognitive benefits.
Yeah.
What about the emotional side of things?
Yeah.
Can neuroscience coaching help with things like stress and anxiety?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, one of the most powerful applications of it is in stress management.
Okay.
By understanding how the brain's stress response works, you can learn techniques to regulate your emotions and cope more effectively.
So it's not just about thinking differently. It's
It's
like also
excellent.
about feeling.
It's about feeling differently, too.
Yeah. Neuroscience coaching recognizes that our thoughts and emotions and behaviors are all interconnected.
And by addressing one area, you can often see positive ripple effects
Yeah.
in others. So, for example, if you learn techniques to manage stress, you might find that your anxiety decreases,
Right.
which can lead to improved sleep, better focus, and even, a boost in your mood.
It's like a chain reaction of
It is. It is.
chain reaction. And there's more. It can help you develop emotional intelligence, improve communication skills, and even overcome addiction.
Okay, that's a pretty impressive list.
It is. It is.
So we've got the cognitive benefits, emotional benefits, and
Mhm.
even interpersonal benefits.
Yeah.
It seems like this approach could really touch on almost every aspect of life.
And that's what makes it so exciting. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
It's personalized.
Okay.
That empowers you to take control of
Yes.
your own brain
Yeah.
and create the life that you want to live.
I'm already starting to think about how I can apply some of these principles to my own life.
That's the beauty of
Yeah.
it.
Once you understand how your brain works,
Yeah.
it just opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
Okay, so we've talked about what neuroscience coaching is and like some of the potential benefits.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious about how it actually works like in practice.
Right.
What kind of like techniques do these coaches use to help people
Yeah.
make these changes?
Well, neuroscience coaches draw from a wide range of tools and techniques, all backed by, scientific research. So some of these techniques might focus on changing your thought patterns. Others might target your behaviors. And still others might address lifestyle factors that can impact brain health.
Okay, so like break that down for me a little bit.
Sure.
What do you mean by techniques that like focus on changing thought patterns?
So one of the most common techniques is cognitive reframing.
Okay.
It's about challenging the negative or limiting beliefs
Yeah.
that might be holding you back and replacing them with more positive and empowering ones.
So instead of saying like I'm terrible at public speaking,
Mm-hmm.
you might reframe it as like I'm still learning and growing.
Exactly. It's about shifting your perspective and creating new neural pathways that support your goals.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about techniques that target behaviors?
Yeah.
What are some examples of those?
Yeah. So think about habit formation strategies. A neuroscience coach might help you break down a goal, like exercising regularly, into smaller, more manageable steps.
Okay.
They might also work with you to create a reward system that reinforces positive.
So it's not just about like willpower. It's about
Yeah.
creating like a system
It is
that actually supports
creating systems that
productivity.
support the changes you want to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you said like lifestyle factors.
Yes, exactly. And then there are lifestyle factors
Yeah.
that can have a huge impact on brain health.
Oh, okay.
This might include things like getting enough sleep, managing stress effectively,
Mm-hmm.
eating a healthy diet,
Okay.
and incorporating regular exercise into your routine.
So it's like a holistic approach that recognizes that our brains are like part of this larger system.
Exactly, a larger
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
And that taking care of our overall well-being is essential
Okay.
for optimal brain function.
I'm starting to see how this approach could really empower people to like take control of their own lives.
It's not about quick fixes or magic solutions. It's about understanding the incredible power of your brain and working with it,
Yeah.
not against it, to create positive and lasting change.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's really about, working with your brain, not against it. Now, let's talk about something that often trips people up. SMART goals.
Yeah.
Have you heard of SMART goals?
Oh, yeah. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've used that framework before, but honestly, I haven't always had the best luck with it.
Well, and that's where I think neuroscience can add a whole new dimension to it.
Okay.
Think about it. When you set a goal that's specific and measurable,
Hmm.
you're actually engaging your prefrontal cortex. Remember, that's the part of your brain that's responsible for planning and execution.
So instead of just like having a vague idea what I want to accomplish, I need to like give my brain a clear roadmap to follow.
Exactly. And when you make a goal achievable,
Okay.
it taps into the reward system.
Okay.
So each time you hit a milestone, no matter how small, your brain releases dopamine,
Hmm.
which reinforces the behavior and keeps you motivated.
So it's not just about setting like the right goals. It's about
Yeah.
setting them in a way that
Yeah.
actually works with my brain's natural wiring.
Exactly.
Oh,
And the relevant part of SMART goals is important too. When a goal aligns with your values and interests,
okay.
it actually becomes emotionally charged, which further boosts your motivation.
That makes sense. I'm much more likely to like stick with something if it actually feels personally meaningful to me.
Yeah.
But what about the time-bound part? Why is like setting a deadline so important?
Well, deadlines create a sense of urgency, which helps to combat procrastination. Remember, procrastination often stems from that conflict between the prefrontal cortex, which wants to plan,
Yeah.
and the limbic system, which wants instant gratification.
So a deadline gives my prefrontal cortex like a little extra
Yeah.
leverage to get things done.
It does. By setting a clear time frame,
Okay.
you're signaling to your brain that this goal is a priority.
Okay, so this is like all starting to click for me. I'm seeing how like understanding the neuroscience behind goal setting can actually like make a huge difference.
And it's not just about goal setting.
Okay.
Neuroscience can also help us understand and overcome some of the common challenges that, like, sabotage our efforts.
Like what?
Well, we've already talked about procrastination.
Right.
But there's also perfectionism, fear of failure, and even those pesky cognitive biases that can cloud our judgment.
Cognitive biases. Tell me more about those.
Okay, so these are like mental shortcuts that our brains use to simplify information and make decisions quickly.
Okay.
But sometimes these shortcuts can lead to errors in thinking that, like, hold us back.
Okay,
Cool.
can you give me an example?
Sure. One common cognitive bias is called confirmation bias.
Okay.
And this is the tendency to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs, even if those beliefs are wrong.
Oh, I definitely do that.
We all do it.
I'm like always looking for evidence to support my own
Yeah.
opinions, even if like I'm being like stubborn.
Exactly. Yeah, we all do it to some extent. But
Yeah.
by becoming aware of these biases, we can start to challenge them and make more like objective decisions.
So how does like neuroscience coaching help with that?
Well, a coach might use techniques like mindfulness to help you become more aware of your thought patterns. Or they might guide you through exercises that like challenge your assumptions and help you see things from different perspectives.
So it's about becoming more like conscious of how our brains work
Right.
and then using that knowledge to
Right.
like make better choices.
Exactly. And this applies to everything from, our personal goals to our relationships with others.
Speaking of relationships, can like neuroscience coaching actually help us improve our communication skills?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By understanding how our brains process emotions and language, we
Mhm.
can learn to communicate more effectively, build stronger connections,
Wow.
and even resolve conflicts more constructively.
I'm starting to see how this approach could have like ripple effects throughout
It does.
our lives.
It's not just about achieving specific goals, it's about becoming more self-aware and developing a deeper understanding of how our minds work.
And that's what makes it
Yeah.
so empowering.
It is.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground so far.
Yeah.
We've talked about the brains, like key players, the power of neuroplasticity, how to set like effective goals, and even those like sneaky cognitive biases
Right.
that can sabotage our efforts.
Yes. We've also touched on the wide range of benefits that neuroscience coaching can offer, from enhancing cognitive function to managing stress and improving relationships.
Right, and I think it's important to remember that this isn't just like theoretical knowledge.
Right.
These are practical strategies that people are using to make like real changes in their lives.
Exactly. And that's what makes Denny Van's work so compelling. She's taken these complex scientific concepts and made them accessible
Yeah.
and applicable to everyday life.
Now, I know that a lot of people are curious about like the role of motivation in like achieving goals. It's one thing to like set a goal, but it's another thing entirely to actually summon the energy and willpower to pursue it.
Right.
How does neuroscience coaching address that challenge?
That's a great question. And it brings us back to the brain's reward system, which we touched on earlier. Remember, this system is driven by dopamine,
Yeah.
that feel-good chemical that reinforces behaviors that our brains perceive as rewarding.
So when we achieve a goal, our brain gives us like a little dopamine hit.
Yes.
And then that makes us want to like repeat that behavior.
Exactly. But here's the key. The anticipation of a reward can be just as motivating as the reward itself.
Oh, all right.
So a neuroscience coach might help you structure your goals in a way that creates like a series of mini rewards along the way, keeping you motivated and engaged.
That's interesting. So instead of waiting for that like big payoff at the end, I can actually create like little dopamine boosts along the way to keep my momentum going.
Exactly. And this is where understanding the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation comes into play. So intrinsic motivation comes from within. It's that like joy and satisfaction we get from doing something that we love, while extrinsic motivation is driven by external rewards or incentives.
So like I might be intrinsically motivated to like write because I love the creative process, but I might also be extrinsically motivated by like the prospect of getting published or like receiving positive feedback.
Exactly. A skilled neuroscience coach will help you tap into both types of motivation. They might encourage you to find activities that, align with your passions and values, while also helping you set up systems of external rewards to keep you on track.
So it's about finding that like sweet spot between what you love to do and what you're striving to achieve.
Precisely. And by understanding how your brain's reward system works, you can create this like powerful feedback loop that reinforces those positive behaviors and keeps you moving towards your goals.
Like neuroscience coaching is giving us like the owner's manual to our own brains.
It is. It is. It's about empowering you to become the architect of your own life.
Now, I know that one of the areas where neuroscience coaching has gained a lot of attention is in the realm of like addiction recovery. Can you tell us a little bit more about how this approach is being used to help people like overcome addiction?
Yeah, so addiction is a complex issue, but neuroscience is shedding light on the underlying brain mechanisms that are involved. So we know that addictive substances and behaviors actually hijack the brain's reward system, creating powerful cravings and a cycle of dependence.
So it's like those substances or behaviors are like short-circuiting the brain's like natural reward pathway.
The neuroscience coaching can help individuals understand these patterns, develop coping mechanisms to manage cravings, and rewire those neural pathways to break free from the addiction cycle.
That sounds incredibly hopeful. It's like neuroscience is offering like a new path to recovery that's like grounded in a deeper understanding of the brain's role in addiction.
It is. It's an exciting area of research, and there's growing evidence that it can be a valuable tool in addiction recovery.
Okay, so we've talked about how neuroscience coaching can help us set like effective goals, overcome challenges, boost motivation, and even like address addiction.
Right.
But what about like the more intangible aspects of personal growth, like self-awareness and emotional intelligence? How does neuroscience play into those areas?
That's a great question, and it speaks to the like profound impact that neuroscience is having on our understanding of ourselves. We're learning that self-awareness and emotional intelligence aren't just like vague concepts. They're actually rooted in specific brain regions and neural networks.
No, it's not just about like feeling more self-aware. There's like actually a biological basis for it.
Exactly. So, for example, the prefrontal cortex, which we've talked about a lot today, plays a key role in self-reflection, introspection, and the ability to, understand our own thoughts and emotions.
So if we can like strengthen our prefrontal cortex, we can actually become more self-aware.
That's the idea. And neuroscience coaching offers a variety of techniques for doing just that.
Can you give me like some examples?
Sure. Mindfulness practices, for example, have been shown to increase activity in the prefrontal cortex, helping us become more like attuned to our inner experiences. Journaling is another powerful tool for self-reflection, allowing us to process our thoughts and emotions in a more structured way. And even like simple exercises like taking a few minutes each day to reflect on our strengths and weaknesses can help us develop greater self-awareness.
It's fascinating to think that we can actually like train our brains to be more self-aware. What about emotional intelligence? How does neuroscience?
So Emotional
Help
intelligence
us develop that.
involves the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, as well as the emotions of others. And again, neuroscience is revealing the brain regions and neural pathways that are involved in these
Mhm.
processes.
So it's not just about like being nice or understanding. There's
No.
actually a neurological basis for emotional
There is,
insight.
exactly. For example, the amygdala, which is part of the limbic system, plays a
Mhm.
key role in processing emotions, especially fear and anger.
Okay.
And the insula, another brain region, helps us like connect with the emotions of others,
So
fostering empathy and compassion.
okay, so we've got like these different parts of the brain that are involved
Mhm.
in like emotional processing and empathy. How does neuroscience coaching help us work with those parts of the brain?
So there are specific techniques that can help us regulate our amygdala, for example, reducing our reactivity to stress and enhancing our ability to manage like challenging emotions.
Okay.
And there are practices that can stimulate activity in the insula,
Okay.
fostering our capacity for empathy and compassion.
Can you give me some examples of like those techniques?
Sure, deep breathing exercises, for example, have been shown to like calm the amygdala, reducing feelings of anxiety and stress. And mindfulness meditation can help us become more aware of our emotions without judgment, allowing us to respond to them more skillfully.
Okay.
And then as for like fostering empathy, practices like loving kindness meditation can actually increase activity in the insula,
Oh, okay.
enhancing our ability to connect with the emotions of others.
So it's like we're not just learning about these concepts, we're actually like engaging in practices that rewire our brains to be more emotionally intelligent.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's what makes neuroscience coaching so transformative. It's not just about thinking differently, it's about feeling differently, connecting differently, and ultimately living differently.
This has been like an incredibly eye-opening conversation.
Good.
I'm starting to see how neuroscience coaching can be like a powerful tool
It
for
is.
personal growth and transformation.
Yeah, it's an exciting field that's constantly evolving, and I'm eager to see how it continues to shape the future of human well-being.
Okay, so we've talked about like a wide range of benefits,
Yeah.
but um, are there any like potential drawbacks or limitations that people should be aware of
Hmm.
when considering neuroscience coaching?
That's a great question, and it's important to be realistic about what neuroscience coaching can and cannot do.
Okay.
First and foremost, it's not a quick fix.
Okay.
It requires effort, commitment, and a willingness to challenge your, old patterns of thinking and behaving.
So it's not like you go to like a few coaching sessions and suddenly your life is
No,
transformed.
it's a journey,
Oh,
not a
exactly.
destination.
Okay.
And it's important to find a coach that's a good fit for you,
Yeah.
someone you trust and feel comfortable working with.
Okay. And what about like the science itself?
Yeah.
Is there anything that we need to like be cautious about when applying neuroscience to like
Yeah.
personal growth?
Yeah, neuroscience is, a rapidly evolving field, and there's still much that we're learning about the brain. So it's important to be discerning about the information that you encounter
Right.
and be wary of anyone promising like miracle cures or overly simplistic
So a
solutions.
healthy dose of skepticism is always a
Oh,
good thing.
absolutely. And it's important to remember that neuroscience coaching is not a replacement for like medical or mental health treatment.
Right.
So if someone is struggling with like a serious mental health condition,
Yeah.
it's crucial to seek professional help
Right.
from a licensed therapist or psychiatrist.
That's an important point to clarify. So neuroscience coaching can be a valuable tool
Yeah.
for like enhancing well-being,
Yes.
but it's not a substitute for like
Right.
professional medical or mental health care when it's needed.
Exactly. It's a complementary approach that can work like in conjunction with
Okay.
other forms of treatment.
Now, I know that one of the things that like drew you to Denny Van's work is her focus on not just like achieving goals, but also like finding a deeper sense of purpose and
Mhm.
fulfillment. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah. So what I find inspiring about her approach is that she goes beyond like the traditional focus on
Sure.
goal achievement
Mhm.
and delves into the deeper question of like what it means to live a meaningful and fulfilling life.
Okay.
She recognizes that true fulfillment comes not just from like checking things off our to-do lists,
Right.
but from aligning our actions with our values, pursuing our passions, and
Mhm.
making a positive impact on
Ah.
the world.
So it's about like connecting our goals to like a greater purpose,
Yeah.
something that gives our lives like meaning and direction.
Precisely. And neuroscience can actually help us with this process. By understanding the brain's reward system, we can actually identify activities that genuinely bring us joy and satisfaction. Those things that tap into our intrinsic motivation and make us feel truly alive.
Okay.
By aligning our goals with these deeper motivations, we create a life that feels more purposeful and fulfilling.
This is all like incredibly inspiring. It's like neuroscience is not just like giving us the tools to achieve our goals, but also guiding us towards like a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
It is.
Okay, this has been like a truly enlightening exploration of neuroscience coaching. We've covered a lot of ground, from the basics of brain function to specific techniques for enhancing cognitive function, managing stress, boosting motivation, and setting effective goals.
Right.
I'm feeling incredibly energized and inspired to like apply these principles to my own life.
That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
The beauty of neuroscience coaching is that it really empowers us to become like active participants in shaping our own well-being and creating a life that like aligns with our values and aspirations.
Now, before we like wrap up, I want to touch on one final point that Denia emphasizes in her book, and that is the importance of the coaching relationship itself.
Yes, an excellent point to highlight. You know, the relationship between the coach and client is a crucial element in the success of science coaching.
Yeah, it's not just about like the techniques or the knowledge, it's about the connection and support that coach provides.
Yes. Denia actually describes the coaching relationship as like a partnership,
Yeah.
you know, a collaborative journey where the coach acts as a guide, a facilitator, and a source of encouragement and accountability.
So it's about finding a coach that not only like understands the science, but also understands you as an individual, your like unique challenges and your aspirations.
Absolutely. A good neuroscience coach will create a safe and supportive space for you to explore your goals, challenge your limiting beliefs, and develop strategies that actually work for you. They'll also, you know, celebrate your successes along the way, providing positive reinforcement and helping you stay motivated on your journey.
Okay, this has been like a truly comprehensive and inspiring deep dive into Denny Van's work and the transformative power of neuroscience coaching.
Good.
I'm feeling incredibly grateful for the opportunity to like learn from you today.
The pleasure is all mine, really. It's always a joy to share these insights and like witness that spark of possibility that ignites when people discover, you know, the incredible potential within their own minds.
Now, before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with like a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about like understanding our brains, but what about understanding our hearts? How can we use the principles of neuroscience to cultivate like greater compassion, empathy, and connection in our relationships with others?
That's a profound question, and one that I believe holds the key to unlocking like a more harmonious and fulfilling future for all of us. Neuroscience is beginning to reveal the neural mechanisms underlying empathy, compassion, and altruism, suggesting that these qualities aren't like merely sentimental notions, but rather deeply ingrained aspects of our biology.
That's an incredibly hopeful message.
Yeah.
It suggests that we have the potential to like create a world where compassion and understanding prevail.
And I believe that by integrating, you know, these insights from neuroscience into our personal growth journeys, we can not only transform our own lives, but also contribute to creating a more compassionate and interconnected world.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Yeah.
I know that our listeners will be walking away from this episode with a like newfound appreciation for the incredible power of their brains and the transformative potential of neuroscience coaching.
May this knowledge empower each of us to live more consciously, create positive change, and unlock the boundless possibilities that lie within.
Yeah, it does feel like, you know, we're just kind of scratching the surface of what's possible when we start to understand how our brains work.
Yeah, it's true. And the exciting thing is that, like, neuroscience is such a dynamic field. There's new research emerging all the time. So it's giving us even deeper insights into the, like, inner workings of our minds.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we've focused a lot on Denny Van's approach to neuroscience coaching today. And I think what, like, stands out to me is her emphasis on the, like, personalized nature of this work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she really highlights that each brain is unique, so there's no like one-size-fits-all program. It's
Mm.
really about figuring out your individual strengths, challenges, and goals.
It makes me think about like those personality tests that tell you like what kind of learner you are,
Right.
whatever. Are there like similar assessments for figuring out like your brain type?
Yeah, there are definitely assessments and tools that neuroscience coaches use to help understand an individual's like cognitive strengths and preferences.
Okay.
It's not about labeling people, it's about, tailoring strategies
Oh,
that
really?
work best for them.
So it's like having a custom designed workout plan, but for your brain.
Exactly. And that's what makes this approach so powerful.
Yeah.
It's not about trying to fit into a predetermined mold. It's
Yeah.
about working with your own,
Right.
unique neural wiring.
Yeah. As we've been talking, I've been thinking about all the potential applications of this work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just for individuals like seeking personal growth, right?
Absolutely not. The principles of neuroscience have implications for like so many areas of life. Education, business, healthcare, even relationships.
Imagine a world where teachers understand like how to optimize learning based on the brain's natural processes, or workplaces that are designed to reduce stress and enhance well-being. Like, how amazing would that be?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're already seeing some of these ideas being put into practice. There are schools that are like incorporating mindfulness training into their curriculums,
Oh, wow.
and companies that are implementing brain-friendly
Okay.
work environments.
That's really cool. It seems like the
Yeah.
possibilities are truly endless.
They are, and that's what I find so inspiring about this field.
Hmm.
It's not just about like solving problems,
Yeah.
it's about expanding our potential and creating a better future
Yeah.
for ourselves and for, generations to come.
This has been like such a thought-provoking conversation. I feel like I'm walking away with a whole new toolbox for like understanding myself and navigating like all the complexities of life.
Good. It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you.
Yeah.
Remember, like the journey of self-discovery and personal growth is ongoing.
Yeah.
Never stop learning, exploring, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible,
Mm.
Your brain is capable of
Right.
incredible things.
I couldn't agree more. To all of our listeners out there, we encourage you to delve deeper into the world of neuroscience.
Yes.
Explore Denny Van's work, seek out a neuroscience coach if it resonates with you, and most importantly, embrace the power of your own brain.
Mm.
The possibilities are truly limitless.
Yes, they are.